The top G, Andrew Tate, just destroyed the soy boy Piers Morgan on his own TV show.
Good shot there from Tate!
In the game, Andrew Tate opens 1d4, an excellent move, gaining control of the center. Then Black responds d5. Piers Morgan making a decent move on move 1. Let's see what happens from here. Alright, Andrew Tate, 2c4, the Queen's Gambit, an excellent move. Andrew Tate is one of the biggest Queen's Gambit specialists in amateur chess. His idea, he wants to try and get Piers Morgan to capture that pawn, at which point he's going to have 2 central pawns versus just 1 for Black. Now here, instead of taking the bait, Piers Morgan responds with the Queen's Gambit declined, the move 2e6, just bolstering his pawn on the d5 square. So far, Piers Morgan actually playing some decent moves. Now Andrew Tate, knight to c3, excellent move, getting his knights out before the bishops, very classical chess principles. And here Piers Morgan makes his first big mistake already on move 3, knight to c6. Terrible move in the Queen's Gambit declined. I mean, what do you expect from the soy boy Piers Morgan? He's blocking in that c-pawn. Now we can't go c5 in the future, fighting for the center. Now Andrew Tate, bishop to f4, developing the bishop and putting pressure on that c7 point. If the queen ever moves, that pawn will fall. And here Piers Morgan, another mistake. Bishop b4. Piers Morgan mixing up the Chigorin and the accelerated Rogozin variations. What the heck is this guy doing? I mean, what do you expect from low IQ Piers Morgan? Now Andrew Tate, e3. Very good move, defending the pawn on the c4 square with the bishop. Now it's no longer a gambit. White can always regain that pawn if Black takes. And here Piers Morgan, he thinks he's being aggressive. He thinks he's being smart. He takes the knight on the c3 square with the bishop. Bishop takes c3, but an absolutely terrible move. Again, what do you expect from low IQ soy boy Piers Morgan? Now Andrew Tate takes back on the c3 square with the b-pawn. B takes c3, and here Piers Morgan, he goes off the deep end. What the heck is this guy doing with the move queen to h4? Doesn't Piers Morgan know with the bishop on f4, when you move the queen, you lose the pawn on the c7 square? I mean, this queen is doing absolutely nothing. It's kind of like Piers Morgan in his interviews, flopping around, trying to attack, not really getting anything done. And here, Andrew Tate, he demonstrates his unmatched perspicacity and sheer indefatigability. He takes that pawn on the c7 square, the best move. Now, Piers Morgan in this game, it's only move 7, but the buffoon, the soy boy's already down a clean pawn. Let's see if Piers Morgan come back or if this is just the beginning of the end in this game for him. Here Piers, knight to f6. Not a bad move, setting up short castles on the king side. Maybe this guy does know what he's doing. Let's see. Andrew Tate, now that he's already captured that pawn on the c7 square, he just brings back his bishop to the g3 square, a very good square for the bishop, and gains the tempo on the queen. So, Andrew Tate, very good move from the top G. Now Piers, queen g5, getting the queen out of the attack. But Andrew Tate, he is known for his aggressive attacking playstyle in chess. He launches out the knight to the f3 square, knight to f3, hitting the queen immediately and putting the question, where is the queen going to go? If Piers Morgan wants to stay in the game, he has to move that queen somewhere. Well, what do you expect from the low IQ soy boy Piers Morgan other than ignoring the threat on the queen? He castles kingside. He thinks he's so smart, moving his king and his rook with the same move. But Piers Morgan, with that terrible move, he is about to get destroyed. Here, Andrew Tate, he spots the idea. The queen is hanging, and he simply takes the queen of Piers Morgan. A brutal takedown. Now Piers is down a pawn. He's down a queen. He's down in the IQ department. He's got too much soy in his system. What's he gonna do? Here, rook to e8, trying to get his rook active. But Andrew Tate, he knows how to play this Queen's Gambit opening. He just brings out his queen to the c2 square, waiting for Black to take on c4. Then he can recapture on c4 with the bishop with the gain of tempo. So, very smart move by Andrew Tate here. Now Piers h6 hits the knight. Not really a good move because now knight to f3. The knight wanted to come back to the f3 square anyway, so Piers Morgan not really gaining anything with that. Now knight g4, another ridiculous move by Piers Morgan. This is absolutely terrible. Here Andrew Tate just goes h3, he knocks back the knight, and now what the heck did Piers accomplish by going back and forth with the knight? Andrew Tate gets the free move in h3, and now it's his turn to move. Now here Andrew Tate, he turns up the aggression, bishop to e5, hitting that knight on the f6 square. Piers Morgan takes, but now after knight takes e5, suddenly Andrew Tate's knight is active on the e5 square, Andrew Tate is going to have all sorts of sacrificial ideas on the king side, maybe even knight takes f7 coming in the future. Now Piers Morgan, he takes on c4, but again, this is a mistake. This is what Andrew Tate wanted in this game. Andrew Tate laid the trap. He now just takes on c4 with the bishop. He never had to move the bishop twice, and that is to his benefit in this game. Andrew Tate is running circles around the soy boy Piers Morgan so far. All right, Piers Morgan, b6. Actually, not a bad move. He wants to go b6 and then bishop b7, fianchettoing the bishop on this long diagonal here, maybe putting pressure on that g2 pawn. Here, Andrew Tate, he castles, getting out of the attack of that bishop. And now g6 from Piers Morgan, an absolutely terrible move. This move is almost as bad as when he lost the queen. Now, here's the problem. This move just weakens the king side of Piers Morgan, and Andrew Tate, again, demonstrating his unmatched perspicacity and sheer indefatigability, he sacks the knight on the g6 square. Knight takes g6, an absolutely brilliant move. The idea, of course, is if black ever takes back on the g6 square, Andrew Tate, the top G, is going to recapture with the queen, hitting the king with check, and that's going to be almost lights out. Now here, Piers Morgan, bishop b7. He doesn't take the bait yet. Now Andrew Tate, rook a to e1, getting the other rook into the game. Now his idea is based on perhaps f4, e4, e5, and f5, launching those pawns down the board as battering rams. But now Piers Morgan, he finally takes the bait. Andrew Tate was making jokes about the knight. Piers Morgan doesn't have composure, doesn't understand stoicism. He takes the knight, but this is a fatal mistake. Here, queen takes g6, wins the pawn on the spot. Piers Morgan looking like a giant buffoon. Now Andrew Tate's queen hitting the king. What is Piers going to do? He goes king f8, running away like a scared little girl. But now Andrew Tate picks up the pawn on the h6 square, hits the king. The king goes to e7. Andrew Tate chases the king with the queen. Queen g7. The king runs away to the d8 square. Then king takes f6, winning the knight of Piers Morgan. Andrew Tate showing why chess is like life. The queen running all the way around the board, freely moving around, and the king moving one square at a time, just like a girl getting onto a yacht. Now here, of course, the king is in check. Piers Morgan has to block it. Rook to e7 is the move. But then Andrew Tate, he increases the pressure. Bishop takes e6, winning the pawn. What is black going to do? He goes rook to c8, trying to bring the rook into the game. But poor little Piers Morgan, the poor little soy boy, he doesn't understand when you have a bishop on the e6 square and you bring your rook to the c8 square, you are just begging for the rook to get blown off the board. And that is what happens here. Andrew Tate takes the rook on the c8 square. Bishop takes c8. Now king takes, and then queen takes e7, winning the rook of Piers Morgan. Now Andrew Tate is up a queen and two rooks and an army of pawns against Piers Morgan. Piers' king is naked and afraid, tucked away in the corner, just like him on his Piers Morgan Uncensored show. Where's he gonna go? All right, bishop d5 in the game, but Andrew Tate, e4, is gonna launch these pawns down the board and maybe even use one to checkmate the king of Piers Morgan. Now, bishop c4 attacks the rook of Andrew Tate, but Andrew Tate doesn't care. Queen to e8 hits the king of Piers Morgan. Now, king c7, queen e5, king d7. Andrew Tate just playing with his food here. He's got a little Piers Morgan dish of food, and he's just pushing his fork around, playing with his meal. His one meal a day of 90% steak at the end of the day. No breakfast for the top G. Now, d5 for Andrew Tate, pushing the pawn, threatening d6, maybe even queen to e7 next. Now, king d8 from Piers, but d6. Now the threat is simple. Queen to e7, and then queen c7 checkmate, as the only square the king can go to is the c8 square. Does Piers Morgan have a room temperature IQ, which is needed to spot the threat? It turns out he doesn't. Piers Morgan takes the rook on the f1 square, an absolutely terrible move by Piers Morgan, the soy boy. Now Andrew Tate, he finishes the deal. Queen to e7, forcing king c8 from Piers Morgan. And now the final move of the game, queen to c7, checkmate. Andrew Tate checkmates Piers Morgan, in stunning fashion, the soy boy losing to the top G in a spectacular chess game. Alright Chess YouTube, that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe to my channel for more Andrew Tate chess content, and I'll see you in the next video.